Well, so far we've talked about 2 steps in getting married. The first is making it your #1 priority, and fluent flirts find fellows. Okay, that's the second thing. Now, the third is maximizing your pool of prospects. To find somebody acceptable, you've got to have a big pool. Sifting between 300 or even 30 possibilities to find Mr. or Ms. Wonderful is a heck of a lot better than being forced to sift through 3. Everything boils down to increasing your odds at finding lots of eligible people. So, start judging what you do by spouse hunting potential. Little potential, you have little interest. Big potential, you got big interest. Remember, this is a 24/7 focus that we're talking about here. You need to cast a much wider net, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes about how you do that. First place, you increase the hours you spend looking. The second thing is you increase the places you go looking. And the third is you increase the kinds of people you're willing to look at. Now, let me talk first about increasing the number of places you go looking. Remember, it's all about asking, where are the guys or where are the girls? I'm talking about some underlying principles here. Some of the examples will apply more to Gentiles, but the underlying concepts are what's important. They'll suggest things to you. So, ladies, instead of taking that class you've always wanted to take, think, where are the guys? So, you sign up for woodworking, or you sign up for fly fishing. Where are the guys, or where are the girls? Guys, where are the girls? You've got to increase the odds of finding them, so ask around. You'll figure out where they congregate. That's where you go. Ladies, know those long restroom lines during intermission or class break? A terrible waste of time, girls. There are no guys in there. So slip out earlier, or slip out earlier before that break, so you can mill around in the classroom or out there in the lobby during that time. Don't waste that precious milling time in the restroom. Remember, it's showtime, and you're practicing sending out those little flirt signals at dances. In the first place, don't stand over, as I said, don't stand over there with your friends. That's the kiss of death, split up. In the second place, it's all about seeing and being seen. So, mill around. Make several trips to the restroom, but always take a different and long route to get there and to get back. Remember what you're doing. You're casting this wider net. If you adopt this mentality, if you adopt this attitude, all of a sudden, you know, guys, there are thousands of women out there. It's true. And the same thing for you women. There are a bunch of guys out there just not casting a big enough net. At church, where do you sit? Never in the back. It's always front and center. Your spouse hunting. It's advertising time, okay? You get in this habit of being where people can see you. You arrive at all people things 15 minutes earlier, before it starts, and you play the part of the greeter. You do that at church too. Now that I'm married, I can't say this, but I would have been flattered had a 27-year-old young woman, single, approached me and said, Brother Keeler, I want to meet some people. And I know one of the best places to meet them is by that entrance door. But I can't stand back there. But if you'll let me take your arm and we stand back there together and you shake hands, I can shake hands too, and I'll bet you I meet a bunch of people. I would have said, fantastic. I've watched successful Gentiles work several venues. They only go to the health club when it's busiest. They never go when it's the least busy. If they're female, they go to the free weights section to work out. If they're male, they go over where they do aerobics and Pilates and yoga. They're thinking about where are the prospects. To them, jury duty's not a pain. It's a great way to get to meet 11 new people. Lunchtime, the good ones don't eat at their desk nor with a book. They become people lovers. They eat where it's public. They're trying to catch someone's eye. Want to become a volunteer? I don't want the sick president to hear this, but you want to become, you want to volunteer? Speaking about LDS circles, I find out where the guys go and join them. For example, the elders quorum's got a project. I'll bet they could use my help. I'd show up. Or I know a sister in another ward or another state, and you know what? There's some eligible guys over there. I'd say to her, if I'm a and say, let's form a partnership here. I'll keep you alerted to my Elders Quorum project, you keep me alerted to yours, and we'll go together. We'll crash them. Because you want to be there where the guys are. Standing in a line, it's conversation time. And incidentally, in another 3 or 4 minutes, I'll show you how you do that. You want to get to know tons of people? Why do you want to get to know a ton of people? Because that's what this is about, is getting to know a whole bunch of people. And why? The reason is because you're either going to kneel next to one of them in the temple, or one of them is going to fix you up with the person next to whom you kneel in the temple. Do you know that half of all marriages come from fix-ups? Half of all marriages. That's really critical information. Another piece of critical information out of the research is that the more people are around each other, the more they tend to get romantic. The longer you're in someone's company, the more the tendency is to get romantic. Okay, let me go back for just a second to this idea that half of all marriages come from fix-ups. That's why you go public about your marriage goal. And you do so with a vengeance. You tell everybody you have this new objective, you're going to be married and soon. I don't know with whom yet, but I'm going to do it. And you ask them if they know any eligibles. You want everybody to be on the lookout for you. You make a list of every Mormon that you, your family, and your relatives know. Several of these people, and this is true, several of these people will go looking for you if you just ask them to. Here's another source for fix-ups. Each of you women knows a half a dozen sharp married women in your ward or in your state. Corner them one by one and ask each of them to fix you up with singles they know. I mean, we're getting serious about this stuff, guys. Ask them to ask their friends and relatives and works associates if they know anyone. Remember, it's called networking. That's what you're doing. And men, you do the same thing with 6 sharp married fellows. I trust everybody who's interested in getting married is making use of the online dating services. The 3 biggest are LDS Planet, LDS Singles, and LDS Mingle. Those are the 3 largest in that order. Which raises an interesting question. Is your website really attractive? How do you figure that out? Well, girls, I approach 4 or 5 sharp married guys in your ward, each one of whom are several years your senior. You've got to play this carefully here. But you approach 4 or 5, and of course, before you do that, you tell their wives what it is you would like to do. And then you say, would you look at my webpage and offer me some constructive criticism? And guys, you do the same thing. Just make sure that you talk first to the husbands. That's why they need to be a few years older than you, because, you know, this is kind of delicate. But they are excellent judges, and they can make some suggestions to you on things to put or not put on those pages. Check your telephone message. What about your email address itself or your Facebook wall? Have some people look at that and give you some coaching on that. I mean, I've seen some and heard some horrible things. Hi, this is me. You know what to do. Or, if I like you, I'll call you back. Or, rude dog at xyz.com. All those are things I've personally come across. The XYZ changed to protect the guilty, but here's something else. You follow up on all leads. You keep a file on every person you've asked to help, plus their progress. You keep a file on every date and potential date. All these serve as reminders. And they help you keep things straight. And that can be a problem. So, anyway, the idea is you cast a wider net by going to different places and also smarter places. Remember, this is that focus, this is that 24/7 focus. Just let me, I'll run out of time, so I'm going to cut a bit of this out, but take a look at your routines. Remember, the whole name of this game is meeting more people, right? You want that pool as big as you can get it. So, and the magic is chance encounters. You want as many chance encounters as possible. So, you take a look at where you go and when you go. I'd sit down and make a list of where I go and when I go, all the places. Groceries on Tuesday at Safeway, the drugstore Saturday morning, gas station on Baseline, health club Wednesday, Thursday, Dr. dentist at Dr. I'd make a list of all those things. And then I would say, is this producing anything for me? If the answer is no, well then change it. Change those routines. You're looking for new chance encounters. Make a list of everything you do. the kind of exercise, your sports, your Friday night activities, all that, where you volunteer, producing anything? If not, axe it. You know, now remember what we're talking about what successful salespeople do. All this stuff is right out of a Harvard MBA, for goodness sakes. Well, let's apply it to the delicious task of finding a spouse. Take a look at the people who surround you. Are they producing anything for you? Now, there might be one or two, like, say, your mother, that you don't want to give up on, but some of these in your network, they're not producing anything for you. Well, change your network. Take on some other people. Socialize with some other people and watch what happens. Let me tell you another thing, too, moving on to something slightly different. Here's another way to increase the pool of possibilities. Stop being so picky. Increase the kinds of people you're seriously willing to look at. You know, most of us have these lists, like I had one and Sharon had one. But the truth is, every additional trait you put in your pool means the chances of finding someone are smaller. Right? Math 1. For those who really want to get married, with every passing year, the number of items on that list will get smaller and smaller. So, why not take that step now? You know, where it really ought to say is, I want somebody wonderful who's temple-worthy. And stop having these brown eyes and, you know, under 6 pounds and all this kind of stuff. Another way is to expand the ages you're willing to look at. You folks are 31 to 45. My suggestion would be that you at least expand the pool to those who are 10 years older and 10 years younger than what you are right now. You know, remember what happens next. Not like it used to be in the old days. In the old days, frankly, as an older person, younger people were a bore. Well, that's not the case anymore. And it's because with this widespread education, younger people are really fascinating. And with increased health and activity and longevity, older people are now more attractive to younger people. We're living a lot longer. So stop thinking like we used to do when we were in the 1st grade, that if she is in the 2nd grade, that's another world. You got to make your pool bigger, and expanding the age limits of the possibilities are a good way to do that. Here's another way to expand the pool. Increase the types of people you're willing to consider. And you do that by telling Hollywood to stop defining what you want. You guys are excellent candidates for that because you're here rather than watching the Academy Awards. Tell Hollywood to stop defining for you what it is you want. They preach that physical attraction is 95% of the game. And men are especially fooled by that. I remember when I first discovered just how magnetic those women were who were not in direct competition for the school beauty queen crown. I remember I was at BYU my freshman year, and there was a girl in my freshman English class whose physical characteristics were decidedly out of the norm of what is supposed to be this ideal. Okay. Well, her comments in class were so fascinating. I thought someday, I gotta date this woman. So I took her out, and we only dated once. And that's because I didn't want to date her again. And that's because I realized this woman's incredible. I'm going on a mission in a few months, and I don't want to leave a girlfriend here. If I date her, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have to, I may get a dear John. I don't want a girl before my mission, but I couldn't believe it. I am really learning something. This woman is incredible. So all I'm saying is, don't let Hollywood define for you what is really attractive. One other topic here before I move on to the final step, which is, how do you deprogram yourself so you can begin considering other types of people than what Hollywood tells us we should look for? Well, I'll tell you one way to do it. When you are at an event, practice looking around for those people who are the opposite of your old physical ideal type. Catch their eye, initiate a conversation. Remember, this is just an exercise. But you may be pleasantly surprised at what you discover. There are some gems who appear a little differently than what Hollywood says you should be looking at. Okay, so in order to get married, I found that literature suggests you need to stay focused and on task 24/7. You got to become a good flirt. You got to maximize the number of prospects by increasing the places you go looking and the kinds of people you will